Steven Crowder, the largest conservative YouTube channel on this platform, and I believe the largest political YouTube channel on this platform after he passed the Young Turks, recently received his second strike on his channel, and he is on the verge of having that channel deleted because 3 strikes and you're done on YouTube. It was announced by Crowder via Twitter that he would not be able to stream or post videos on his YouTube channel due to this strike for 2 weeks, and if you scroll down a little bit further, you can actually find an article explaining which video was targeted by YouTube and what their explanation was for it. And it was actually due to his coverage of what happened to Ma'Khia Bryant in Columbus, Ohio. Now, we're going to go over what Crowder says about this, and we're going to go over a video that Crowder put out related to this and what the left gets away with on the platform. But first and foremost, I want to make this 100% clear. I am unambiguously on Steven Crowder's side in this matter. I do not want him deleted off of YouTube. I'm against YouTube deplatforming him, and I do believe that he is being targeted by the media and thus by social media for deplatforming because he has the wrong opinions. However, we have to cover every one of these stories honestly, and I actually watched the stream after making my own Ma'Khia Bryant video, so I know why he got the strike for this video, and I don't believe it's highlighted exactly truthfully in this article. According to this article that you can read for yourself, linked in the description at louderwithcrowder.com, the Ma'Khia Bryant video in particular violated an aspect of a policy that prohibits content reveling in or mocking the death or serious injury of an identifiable individual. Accordingly, the video has been removed and a strike has been applied to the Steven Crowder channel. This constitutes the second active strike on Crowder, and as a result, uploads are now suspended for 2 weeks. Now, Crowder responds to that explanation in this article saying the video they're referring to didn't revel in the death or serious injury of an identifiable person. It seems YouTube is unhappy the studio crew agreed that the shooting of the teenager trying to stab another was justified. Now, in addition to this, Crowder actually created and links a video that has a compilation of left-wing and mainstream media comedians and figures doing things that should, if this standard were held equally, violate YouTube's terms of service across the board and go far beyond what Steven Crowder said or did in that live stream. However, the point that I need to make here, because we are trying to be 100% honest, is that Steven Crowder was making jokes about Ma'Khia Bryant, in particular in reference to her weight. Now, in my opinion, it was those jokes about Ma'Khia Bryant's appearance and weight, etc., that gave YouTube the excuse that they needed to issue a strike against Steven Crowder in his coverage of the shooting of Ma'Khia Bryant. Now, as covered on my channel in a video that most of you have seen, I think that Steven Crowder is 100% right in his analysis of whether or not the shooting was justified. As we pointed out multiple times, Ma'Khia Bryant was attempting to stab another woman holding a dog at the time that the police officer, who was 10 feet away, had to act in order to protect that other woman. However, this is what YouTube is referring to when they say he was mocking somebody who was dead, because he was literally making fun of that person's weight, and the story was about her shooting, and she ended up dying. Now, that being said, Crowder runs a comedy show, so even though I wouldn't make fun of or even address somebody's weight in my videos, Crowder has free range to do that because, again, the point of his show is not only to be informative, but to be entertaining in a comedic way. So it's actually really intelligent of Steven Crowder to cut together a compilation that included a lot of comedians targeting Nick Sandmann, a 16-year-old child who did nothing wrong, and threatening violence against him in a joking way, and how YouTube didn't, even though this information about this kid was completely false, take any action against those creators or those videos on its own platform. So while I do think YouTube has a basis according to their rules, the rules are still being enforced selectively against Steven Crowder.
I don't blame the kid, the smirking kid. I blame lead poisoning. And oh yeah, I blame that f***ing kid. What a little smirk face.
That face, you want to punch that face. Because he does, and it's not that Trump or not, that he just looks like an asshole. He's just like, punch you. Why do they think that I hold certain views? It's like, what do you mean? Because of the Because of that, you know what the hat symbolizes.
So while I do understand YouTube's backwards justification in order to enforce this strike against Steven Crowder's channel, it actually doesn't matter at all what YouTube's terms of service actually say, because remember, the last major Steven Crowder controversy with the whole Carlos Maza thing, YouTube proclaimed publicly that Crowder did not violate YouTube's terms of service, and yet they still changed the rules retroactively, enforced them against Crowder, and then took away his monetization.
To ask me questions about Andy NGO, to see if I was like in support of what happened, and I was like, yeah, no, I talked about it on my show. So I made fun of him originally, and then I continued after I found more information out about him.
So even though some people who hate Steven Crowder and want to see him removed from the platform are going to be zeroing in on the fact that what he did actually might technically violate YouTube's terms of service, in reality, it doesn't matter, because when he didn't violate YouTube's terms of service before, YouTube just changed the rules to include his content and then retroactively enforced it against him. In fact, some of the rules that Steven Crowder violated, according to YouTube in this instance, were rules that were changed retroactively specifically for Steven Crowder. And that's why it's incredibly important to highlight all of the other videos or all of the other good examples in this compilation, and how YouTube is not going back in time to retroactively enforce terms of service against those videos, because they did it to Crowder specifically in real time and we all saw it happen, but they're not doing it to these other people who have said way worse things on their platform and have faced no consequences. When's the Real Time with Bill Maher channel gonna get a community guideline strike? When's John Oliver gonna get a community guideline strike for all the jokes at people's expense that he makes and his endorsement of violent, terroristic Black Lives Matter rioting? The answer is never, and we know the answer is never, because YouTube has been tilting and catering their platform to these mainstream late night hosts that nobody comes to YouTube to watch. Now, on top of that, it is very important to point out every time we find ourselves in one of these scenarios where the Overton window just gets a little bit smaller, where we started. Remember when it was just Alex Jones? Remember when it was his conspiracy theories? Remember when it was causing problems in real life that was the standard for banning somebody off the platform? Well, we moved from Alex Jones all the way down to Steven Crowder, and if you don't remember, the sitting president of the United States of America was also banned from all these social media platforms. If you don't think that this will eventually come in on you, you're not paying attention. And I don't care if you're on the right or the left, you have to acknowledge that what YouTube is doing is not only banning these right-wing content creators, but they're moving more and more towards the mainstream. They're trying to cut off all of these alternative independent outlets. The people that they're punishing are largely on the right, but they're still trying to cut off lefty opinion that is not tied to an organization that YouTube is aligned with. Now, overall, Steven Crowder is going to be fine. He runs a show with great production value. He's got a whole team behind him. He's intelligent, and he knows what he's doing when he's walking up to the line to try to push those boundaries. But YouTube would be a worse place without him. YouTube consistently becomes a worse place as we allow the left-wing authoritarians to more and more control the parameters of acceptable debate on all of these platforms. Because not only does it cost us in the obvious terms that we see, and we actually see creators that once existed be deleted off the internet, but it also costs us because other creators get that message. They get chilled, and all of a sudden they start moving to what they think is more acceptable, and we're worse for it. We're living in a climate where all of the outsiders that actually push alternative ideas are due to pressure from these radical left-wing groups and not wanting to lose what they've built over time, start tilting more and more towards the mainstream. This is not what we want from the internet. We don't want the left dictating what we can view and what we can consume on what is supposed to be a free and open forum. Look, we have to move on from this stupid mentality that, oh, I don't like this guy on this one issue, therefore I'm going to support him getting thrown off the platform because, you know, personal, whatever. If you want to go down that road, all we're going to end up with on this platform is Jimmy Kimmel and Trevor Noah. That's right. Trevor Noah is going to represent YouTube comedy in the future to come, and nobody wants that. Not even Comedy Central wants that. They just can't fire the guy. Now I'm going to close with 2 points. 1 point for all the other creators that might be watching this video, and the second point is for people that are commenting in the live chat and in the comments below, if this is not during the premiere when you're watching this, something that isn't really that helpful despite the fact that you might think it's helpful. First and foremost, if you're a creator, do not get banned from these platforms. Don't make yourself a sacrificial lamb. Don't talk about how you can rally your audience to go somewhere else and then you'll be perfectly fine. Because the big problem with those content platforms that are behind the paywall is that those are no growth opportunities. So while you might take your core audience who will support you, your true diehards with you, you're not going to be able to get your message out to the general public and grow the movement against these left-wing authoritarians. They want you to go to those private platforms for the time being and get you off the mainstream ones because eventually they're going to come after the payment processors on those private platforms. You have to engage in the arena, and this is the arena. So get it out of your mind that you're going to be a sacrificial lamb, you're going to be a martyr for this, and stay in the fight. You can't do anything from outside the fight except rally your core audience. That's a no growth situation, and it's an absolutely disastrous idea, and I've told creators privately and publicly to not get banned from these platforms. Do your absolute best to avoid it. And number 2, for people out there in the audience that are telling me to go to this alternative platform or that alternative platform, I am on a bunch of alternative platforms. They are linked in the description of this video. I go there, I announce it, you don't follow me there. Again, YouTube and YouTube's platforms that are mainstream that people are actually on are growth platforms. Follow me on those alternatives. I love it. I'll post content there. But we really have to stick in the arena and fight back against these left-wing authoritarians where they actually are. We can't go to these no-growth options. If there's a viable alternative platform, I would already be on it without you guys telling me. Anyway, those are just my thoughts on the whole Steven Crowder situation. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, you know what to do. You hit the like button, subscribe for more content, follow me on the social medias, including the alternative ones linked in the description. Support me via the support links. Also got alternative versions of that, also in the description. Till next time.